Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Sunniva.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Star Wars, the deck-building game.
This is a new game from Caleb Grace, published by Fantasy Flight Games.
It is a 2-player game and it plays in 30 minutes.
Yes, so a new deck-building game from Fantasy Flight. It basically just popped out of nowhere. We are a bit late with this review, like it was super hot on BGG. Everybody was talking about it, and now we talk about it.
Yes.
Because we have played it now, which is the process of reviewing games. Yeah. Get it, learn it, play it, speak about it on the channel. This was a review copy sent to us from Asmodee, just so you know that. Doesn't really make any difference, but just so you know that is there. Star Wars deck building game is a 2-player game, as you said, deck building game. If you don't know the concept of deck building, we're not going to go deeply into that. This is in the vein of Ascension, Star Realms, kind of like Dominion, these kind of pure deck building games. That is the game. It is also like Star Realms, a game where you try to attack the other player and you want to destroy planets, basically. Very nice game. You're destroying planets in the base game. Like the beginner game, you destroy 3 planets before you win, but then you can play with like all the planets and you can destroy 4 or 5, depending on how long you want the game to be. The game is a classic deck building game. I'm not going to go like into deeply in the overview. There are some changes that I'm briefly going to talk about, which are now in the row. There's going to be some cards that are faction based, so only the Empire or the Rebel player can buy those cards. There's going to be a force track, which the force is with you or with the other player, which some cards depends on. Some cards are better abilities if the force is with you. And some other small changes that we are going to talk a bit more about later. But basically you win if you destroy the other player's planets, and that is the overview of this game. It's not the end of the review, which it almost sounded like. Let's talk about other stuff. What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the artwork and components. I think the card stock is nice.
Yes.
It's a good quality of the cards, and I also think that the artwork is really nice. Fantasy Flight is always great at these artworks, and I think this is no exception. As a Star Wars, I don't want to say like super fan, but I think Star Wars is cool.
Yeah.
I love seeing like recognizing the characters when I play this game.
It is like if you played any other Fantasy Flight Star Wars kind of game, it's going to be that kind of art. Everything looks good. It's kind of the only thing, like when you play the game, it's not like components, but it's kind of like some cards are sideways, some are the right way, some are upside down. The upside down are fine because you're supposed to see the other part of the card, which is a nice thing. But the sideways cards are kind of hard to read, so it makes it... I don't know anybody who likes to read sideways. Like upside down or the right way is the way to go. For me, mostly upside down. Let's talk about the rulebook. The rulebook is 30 pages long, which sounds like a lot, but it is not a lot because it is a small rulebook and it has a lot of pictures. The rulebook is well laid out. The rulebook is well written. It's a simple enough game, and many of the pages are just like overview of how things work, like faction affiliation, how beginning of turn, all of this. So it's a very simply laid out rulebook, nothing much to say. Thumbs up for the rulebook. That's not something we do, but this game gets a thumbs up. 2 thumbs up for the rulebook.
It also has a play raid.
I
haven't used it I haven't used it like heavily because the game is pretty simple when you have played games in this genre before. But I think it's really nice that they have included it. We have played both as the Rebel and the what do you call the others? Empire. Thank you, player, and our plays have taken approximately 40-hour minutes.
The very short, nice 40-hour game of Star Wars, a deck building game.
Yeah.
And I think you could play it in 30 minutes with no problems, even with 4 planets, just depending on how fast you are playing. But I think 40 minutes is a fine enough time as well.
I agree.
As I kind of said, this kind of feels... It feels a lot like Star Realms.
Yes.
I don't know how much you have played Star Realms.
Yes, I have, and I recognize like all of it.
But have you played like in the app or only like the
only
actual...
the physical game.
I played a lot of Star Realms in the app. I played a lot of Ascension in the app, like probably 100 games of that. Been a while now, but like especially Star Realms, it feels like it's taking a lot of that DNA, a lot of the genes of that game. But I feel like the changes kind of makes it a better game. I only play like the base game of Star Realms, which I like a lot, but I think that this kind of adds a little bit of depth to the game.
I agree. I really like the additions in this game, both with the different faction cards. So sometimes you can play as, for example, the Empire, and there is no Empire cards out there. There are only, for example, Rebels or neutral cards. I like that there are neutral cards that you always have like a chance to get, but it is like interesting to see like, oh, now there's a lot of cards for me or a lot of cards for you there. And I also think that the interaction with the market row is cool because you can also attack, which I think is really neat.
Yeah, I like the fact that, as I said, you can attack the cards from another player. Like without the neutral cards, it wouldn't be really interesting because then it would be like either your card or my card. So that's a nice like interaction part, and I can now choose basically like my goal is to kill the planet. But if I attack him now or that ship, I will get a little bonus and also make it so that you cannot get that card. So it's kind of like a way to have in a two-player game also more flow of the card in the row, and also a bit more interaction in that part, which I really like.
I agree. It makes it like this long, especially if you play like the 4 or 5 planet version, which takes a little longer. You really want to hinder your opponent from having that a really good card in your deck. And for example, Luke Skywalker is expensive to buy, but it's also a lot of expensive to kill him. So it is a lot of resources either way, and it feels really like, oh no, you did that when people are killing off your good cards that you can buy.
It is a very straightforward game. Like Star Realms, it's a short deck building game, not a lot of depth. Like it's my turn, I'm going to do boom, 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 buy this, put it here, doing your turn, which I think is the way these games are good to be. A very nice sentence. Thank you so much. And the prize and the award for the best sentence of the year goes to not me. But I think that this is like you're balancing the resources, balancing how many cards with resources you want, like buying power, and how many cards you want to buy. Like, do you want to like build a super team deck and exile the cards out of the deck, which is always good in these kind of games.
Like thin your deck, basically.
And it's also going to be like randomly how much you get to do with different things, because it depends on how many of the cards that comes out. That kind of feeds into a strategy. So that in that way is actually kind of less strategic than Star Realms, because in Star Realms you have more of you have these factions, and if I go for like the blue and the red, for example, those are going to have good synergies with each other. Here it's kind of, some things have synergies with itself. I felt like it's kind of the same. It's been a while since I played Star Realms, but I feel like it's just enough for it to be fun.
I really like the what do you call it, the ships that you can use as a defense to your base as well. Ships, I think that Star Realms also had something similar to that. And I also think that the force track is a nice addition to the game. The force track is mostly interacting with some of the neutral cards, but mostly of the rebel cards. But the Empire wants to have force on their side, so the rebel player doesn't get more abilities, basically.
That is true. So who is this game for?
And it is for Star Wars fans, I would say.
Obviously.
I think that is...
it's not something...
I like the game more because it is Star Wars. I think it's cool. But I also think that it is a great game for 2 players. Obviously,
I also think like if you are deeply invested in Star Realms, this might not be different enough for you. But if you don't own Star Realms and you like Star Wars, and this is like the obvious choice to get, even though Star Realms has like a lot of expansions and all of that, this probably will get expansions if it sells well, which I guess it's going to do. It's a small card game, probably not too expensive. Haven't really checked out the price. Like the prices are different in Norway and all of that. It's not available in Norway yet, I think. But it's like, I feel like it's for people who like that, need that kind of shorter game. I really enjoy playing these kind of games. It's one of those like, okay, we don't really have time to play and don't have brain power. Oh, let's just play it. It's kind of like boom, 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 boom. Like a small card game, simple card game. Kind of reminds me of that feeling of playing Magic. So if you have been playing Magic and you need something to kind of fill that void a little bit and need a half an hour game, I think this is going to be a great fit.
I agree.
So do you want to do some final thoughts?
Yes, I enjoyed this game. I think that I'm not deeply into the other games in this genre, but I feel like it has so many similarities. If you own some of those games already and you like them, I'm not sure, as you said, if you need this one in your life. But if I'm going to keep playing one of them, it might as well be this one because I really enjoyed it. One thing that we forgot to mention was the special abilities of the planets. So when your planet is destroyed, you get to choose another one, and sometimes that feels really cool because you're like, oh, right now this is perfect, or I want to try this challenge this time, which I thought was really nice. But I think this is a good game. I'm going to rate it a 7.
Yeah, I agree with basically everything you said. I said a lot of things I felt already in the Who Is It For, which is still, even though we've done it for almost a year now, I think, or maybe not that long, I still think it's hard to separate these two because I always talked about who it was for when I did my final thoughts. So sorry about that. But yeah, I feel like it is a fun game. I feel like it's one that I think I want to keep it because it's so small. It doesn't really take a lot of space. And it is it not small?
Yeah, no, it's small. Just like it's a great reason to keep a game.
No, but it's also fun.
It's a great
it's
game.
Not like, it's small. I'm going to give it a 2 and I'm going to keep it. No, but I think that this is one that if we were normal gamers, this would be one that was like in the same genre of the 2-player abstract games and those like we could play when we wanted to play something but we didn't have time to play a bigger game. I think this would be in a great genre for that. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Cool.
I think it's a really fun game and I hope this review gave you some feelings if it might be for you or not. And I think that is it. If you like us or if you just tolerate us or not hate us, then there's something you can do to help us, which is giving us a victory point. And how do we do that, you ask? Well, Sunniva is here with a tutorial.
We get victory points when you subscribe to our channel, so click that subscribe button down there, and it also is a bell button that you can click to get notifications every time we post videos like this.
And that is the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed it. My name is Johannes.
And my name is Sunniva.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings about Star Wars, the deck building game, a board game. Bye bye.